foggy headlights, faded headlights, tarnished headlights. No matter how you describe the problem, I bet it would look similar to this. A condition where over time, the UV light from the sun has cooked the plastic cover of your headlights into an ugly haze. Not only does it lower the price value of your car, but also puts you in grave danger. Because it can diminish the brightness of your headlights so much that it prevents you from clearly seeing the road while driving at night or in the dark. In this video, I'm going to show you the steps it took to restore these worn out headlights from this into this. And be sure to watch till the end to also learn how long it took, how much it cost, and my honest opinion about this method versus other methods that you might have already watched elsewhere. Let's begin. The process is pretty straightforward, and for as long as you understand the science behind it, you can do this yourself at home. Of course, it would be so much faster and easier if you have the right tools to work with. Doing it yourself or letting others do it for you really depends on how much time, energy, and money you are willing to spend. I've done this before on another car a long time ago, and while I did save some money, the task took a lot of my time and energy. So today, I'm letting others do it for me, which brings us to the sponsor of this video, Relay Impact Motors Incorporated Car Care Center. Using specialized machines, they offer engine change oil, decarbonizing, radiator cleaning, steam wash, ATF replacement, and so much more. Oh, and they also accept home service, which is so critical in times when there are long queues at your usual car maintenance shops, or you simply don't have the time. If you are in need of their expertise, give them a call or a visit. Check out the video description below where I included their address and contact information. This is how our eyes perceive a brand new headlight. The incoming light that bounces off it is pure or undistorted because its surface is 100% transparent and super smooth. On the other hand, a worn-out headlight would appear hazy and brownish or yellowish because the heat and the UV rays from the sun have burnt and warped its surface over time. How long this chemical reaction takes place really depends on the quality of its protective coating. So the first and longest step in permanently restoring a worn-out headlight is getting rid of the burnt layer to bring out the clear layer underneath it. And this is done through sanding, a lot of sanding made up of several stages. There's nothing special about each stage except for the grit or the roughness of the sandpaper used. Stage 1 will use 280 grit, Stage 2 400 grit, Stage 3 600 grit, Stage 4 1000 grit, and Stage 5 1500 grit. We pop the hood to expose the top edge of the headlight, then sand away from one end to the other end with 280 grit. An optional step is to remove the entire headlight assembly and sand away from the vehicle. This ensures that the body paint doesn't get accidentally scratched by the sandpaper. However, it would have taken more time, so we agreed to do the procedure without removing the assembly. Besides, using an orbital sander gives better and consistent control, especially around the edges, versus manual sanding where scratching the periphery is more prone to happen. A couple of minutes later, we agreed to wrap masking tape around the perimeter just in case. After stage 1 is done, this is how everything looks like. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Isn't sanding supposed to make the headlights clearer? Why does it look even hazier now? Let me explain. Did sanding with 280 grit really remove the burnt layer? Most definitely. And this yellowish white dust is evidence of that. But at the microscopic level, the first few stages of sanding will have actually produced minute ridges and hills on the surface. This uneven texture temporarily traps incoming light, bounces it around, distorts it, and ultimately reflects it back to our eyes as a milky haze. And in order to achieve a shiny transparency, the whole surface must be smooth, as in super smooth. And this is done by using finer and finer sandpaper in every stage. The higher the grit number, the smoother the surface the sandpaper produces. Finding value from this video? Hit subscribe and the bell icon to get notified of new uploads. Thanks! I'll elaborate on this explanation shortly, but in the meantime, 10 minutes into the process, this opposite headlight is being prepped. The exact same steps will be done here later. The only difference is that we covered my recently installed RFID sticker, which we obviously did not want the sander to scrape. So why didn't we just peel it off temporarily and stick back later? Because none of us were confident that it will have the same stickiness once removed. I went to hell and back just to get this RFID sticker, so I'm not gonna take the risk. Going back to the first headlight, they're wrapping up stage 4 using 1000 grit sandpaper and wiping off the fine powder with a dry cloth. 30 minutes into the process, this is how everything looks like. I know, it looks like it's nowhere close to achieving clarity. If anything, it appears that the headlight has become even hazier. Let's trust the process and proceed with the 5th and final stage using 1500 grit. Notice that the haze is so much whiter compared to the haze back in stage 1. This is actually a good sign. It means that the burnt surface is completely gone and a layer of untarnished plastic has emerged. The surface is now ready for the 2nd and final step, the secret sauce that will give these headlights an almost brand new look. Remember how I told you that in order to achieve a clear and glossy finish, the surface needs to be super smooth so that light is reflected back to our eyes without distortion? We can continue sanding until we hit 3000 grit, 5000 grit, or heck, even 10,000 grit if there's such a thing. It would be so smooth even Spider-Man would just slide off the headlights. But that approach will be time-consuming, costly, and counterintuitive, since the surface does need a certain degree of roughness for our protective clear coat to latch onto. Step 2 is actually a 2-in-1 combo, a solution that gives the surface a super smooth finish and at the same time serves as a protective clear coat to block off UV rays from reaching the plastic layer and thus prolonging the clarity. A few ounces of the solution is poured into a steel canister. But this isn't an ordinary canister. It has a special cover that resembles a spout and has an adapter that plugs into a power outlet. The solution inside is then heated to a point that it becomes an invisible vapor. The spout is then hovered a few millimeters above the headlight surface where the vapor goes to work immediately. The result is so instantaneous, it almost seems like magic. Now I've seen DIY videos where others used rubbing compound, toothpaste, and/or car polish, but the effect only lasts a few days or a few weeks at best, because those chemicals do not adhere like paint and wash off with water. Some have used clear coat paint from a spray can. The problem with that approach is that it tends to produce orange peels. You know, that texture that looks like the skin of an orange? Now this solution has zero orange peels because the fume is so fine and even. The only real challenge with this is carefully inspecting if there were missed hazy spots and not to touch the surface until the vapor has completely dried. A good trick is to look at the headlight from many angles. You can really see and appreciate the huge difference by comparing the restored headlight with the unrestored one. Okay, it's time for this one to undergo the exact same procedure. Since it involves the exact same process, I won't bore you with similar footage. In 1 hour and 30 minutes, both my headlights have been restored to their former glory. Each headlight will cost you 1,500 pesos, so that totals 3,000 pesos for a pair. I'd say that is an awesome price compared to the alternative. Just think about the time, effort, and money you'll spend either doing it yourself or searching and paying for brand new or even surplus replacement headlights. Whether you'll go with this solution or something else, I leave it up to you. I merely shared my own experience as another option that you may not have been aware of before. At the end of the day, it's your vehicle. This is HanDIYman 007. Thanks for watching and do check out the description below for more details. And I'll see you in the next video.